for the most part, fucking suck, okay? You need to chill the fuck out. Alright, obviously I'm talking about the new Ghost in the Shell picture that they showed about a week ago of Scarlett Johansson. I saw it, and I thought it was fine. I looked at it, and I was like, huh, I was actually pleasantly surprised. It actually uses a frame from the original 1995 film of Ghost in the Shell, where, you know, Major Makoto Kusanagi's looking in the mirror at herself, and it shows, not the mirror, but out the window, it shows, like, the reflection and all that shit. You know, that cool shot, one of those iconic shots you just don't forget in the original Ghost in the Shell, like the jumping out of the window nude scene, turning into an invisible person and shit. But anyways, I saw the picture and I was like, well, my biggest fear has been put to rest. I thought she looked fine as the Major. The biggest thing I was worried about with the Major, it wasn't even really Scarlett Johansson, though I did have one small problem with Scarlett Johansson, and I'll talk about that later. My biggest problem was I just didn't want the Major to look like some shitty cosplay. You look at fucking like Dragon Ball Evolution and shit, and it's like, it looks terrible. It looks awful. You know, some anime designs just can't be done in live action, but you know, Ghost in the Shell always had a realistic enough vibe. At least the original film gave that off to where it felt like you could pull it off in real life. Dragon Ball Z, they had crazy hair and stuff, so I can see that with Dragon Ball Evolution, you know, how that kind of failed, but, you know, Ghost in the Shell's different than that. Anyways, back to the people. People piss me off because they're getting all up in arms that they cast a white woman to play the Major. Now, I might just be crazy, but I kind of thought the Major was an android, or, you know, I kind of thought, like, her entire body was a reconstruction, thus Ghost in the Shell. I mean, like, dude, seriously? Doesn't really fucking matter if she's white, black, Asian, fucking Power Ranger, fucking whatever, okay? It doesn't matter, you know? The Major is an android. The Major can be whatever the fuck the Major wants to be. The Major could be a fucking man. Now that's pushing it, obviously. I mean, over-exaggerating. But people are getting all up in arms because apparently Ghost in the Shell is being whitewashed right now, which I can totally see. I totally understand in traditional cases, but you guys gotta see, you know, this is fucking Hollywood. You know, it's an investment and they need an A-list actor to sell Ghost in the Shell. It's Ghost in the Shell. We're not talking about like a franchise that everybody knows what it is. We're not talking about Star Wars. We're not talking about fucking Leprechaun 2 or fucking Leprechaun 4 starring Ice-T. Everybody knows what Leprechaun is, okay? Everybody has seen Leprechaun. But, you know, anime is still one of those things where it's gaining popularity. It's getting a foothold. People are getting in there and figuring out what this shit is. But it's still not that well known. Like, really, especially even on TV, you just got a few kids shows as well as Toonami. It doesn't have enough mainstream power and mainstream know-abouts. Man, what a fucking awful way to put that. Oh my god, okay. Anyways, it's not well known enough to just be like, alright, here's Ghost in the Shell. We're just gonna cast anybody, some Asian actors. Did you know, we don't really have, I don't think there's a single Asian female A-listing actor, or actress, excuse me, in Hollywood right now. I can't think of one, to be perfectly honest with you. I can't think of one. It's just not coming to mind. And honestly, that's just Asian. That's just Asian in general. Like, Asian could be fucking anything. Asian could be Russian. Russian could be Asian. Pakistani, okay? Indian. Fucking Chinese. And I'm pretty sure people would get pissed about that too. People fucking want a Japanese actress to portray the Major in this North American Hollywood adaptation. Now, I'm not sitting here saying the North American Hollywood adaptation is gonna be bad. Is gonna be good or bad, actually. I mean, you know, the general consensus and history has proven that it would usually be bad. But we do know these types of stories can be successfully done in Hollywood, like with The Matrix. I mean, everybody fucking knows that Ghost in the Shell inspired The Matrix. No Matrix, no Ghost in the Shell, no Matrix. No Akira, no Matrix either. So maybe we need an Akira live action too, but that thing's been flippity-floppity all over the fucking place for who knows how long, man. So, back to the matter at hand. Like I said, people are getting pissed because basically they feel Ghost in the Shell is getting whitewashed. But you want to know something? I'm kind of looking at the IMDb right now, and I don't know, it might just be me, but let's see. Takeshi Kitano as Daisuke Aramaki, which is a major character. Joseph Nawafahu, that's a weird name, but he might be Japanese too. Chen Han. There's Tawanda Manyimo. Sorry if I'm pronouncing these names terribly, because I already know I'm pronouncing them terribly, but still. Kaori Momoi. Let's see. Fucking Utica Izumahara. Now, if you don't know what I've been doing, I've basically been, naming off the Japanese cast members who are a part of the Ghost in the Shell movie right now. Now, I can kind of see where people are getting at, but first of all, this is a Hollywood movie and it needs to make money and people need to understand that. I don't actually think this is going to be a bad movie. In fact, this looks like the biggest potential for an anime live-action adaptation I have ever seen. I'm not even fucking kidding. I mean, we've got what looks like a good cast. I don't really know most of the cast other than Scarlett Jo, of course. But Scarlett Johansson's an amazing actress. And she's an A-lister, and she has a name, and that's the whole fucking point. On top of that, with the whole idea, like I said, going back to them mostly being androids, being interchangeable, everybody's connected more than they ever have been. It really doesn't hurt to have white people in this film. I'm pretty sure the film's going to take place in Japan still. You've still got some major characters not being voiced too much in the anime scene, being portrayed by Japanese actors. It looks fine. The cast looks fine. And we also have another major character. People haven't really been complaining because he's not the big deal. But Bato is being played by some guy named Pilo Azbek. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think it might be Russian, but I'm not actually sure. Anyways, we've got a fairly American cast here, but we also have a lot of Japanese cast members too. I don't really feel like this constitutes as whitewashing, and given the nature of Ghost in the Shell in general, like I said, how a lot of these androids could basically be whatever the fuck they want. I don't think that this is whitewashing. I just think that it's smart casting and that they're doing their best to cast this movie appropriately. They have to have it portrayed in a way that, I don't want to say localized. I don't want to say, made for an American audience, but made for an American audience in the sense that they're speaking English and we can understand what the fuck they're saying and don't have to read subtitles. Personally, if I walked into my own, and I watch anime subtitled all the time on Crunchyroll, but personally, if I walked into my own movie theater, just went into I was like, oh, this movie looks pretty cool, let's just say I chose it at random. That doesn't really happen nowadays with the internet, but still, I just chose this movie at random, and I fucking go in there, and it's a fucking French movie with all subtitles. I'd be fucking pissed. I'd be like, why didn't you guys fucking tell me? There should have been like a big ass sign, like subtitled fucking movie. And on top of that, if they did do that, if an American company made a fucking French movie with subtitles, like the whole movie's in French, it would probably do terribly. Now, I know there's the fucking Passion of the Christ in that entire movie was fucking, I don't even know what language that was done in, but that was a big fucking deal. That was a Christian movie. They had the whole Christian crowd basically eating out of their hands. I'm a Christian too, by the way, but still, fucking, that movie was a huge deal, and it was fucking made by Mel Gibson, okay? So that's why that movie probably got away with it. But usually movies won't get away with that. They can't just have a Japanese movie. And you know how fucking hard bilingual actors are to find, bilingual actors and actresses? They're out there, but, to find a great cast that is worthy of Hollywood production, that is that good at acting, because I don't know if you realize this, but I don't like to throw the Japanese under the bus, but their acting, if you've seen their live action films, it's kind of cheesy. Like, most of their actors aren't even, I wouldn't find capable to be in a big Hollywood film because they're just not as good. It's so funny too, because it's funny how the roles are reversed. People get pissed, at like English dubs and stuff. Sorry, I'm going to stop myself right there, and I am going to not get on this rant. Anyways, I also have a few pictures here. People need to chill out, by the way. Like I said, I would talk about I do have a bias. I do have something I dislike about Scarlett Johansson being cast as the Major, and boom, this picture. Basically, you see that physique? You see that how muscular the Major is right now? Now, I realize this is, you know, when she's doing this, she's like calibrating like her muscles or some shit, like to the point where her body's breaking down just to get the job done. That's how dedicated she is, which it's a great scene in the film, by the way. But I realized, like, and they could like CGI that certain scene in the movie to make Scarlett Johansson look a little bigger. But I honestly think they should have cast somebody, because animation and live action is different. I feel like they should have cast somebody who was a bit beefier to play the Major. Now, I know there's been similar complaints for Wonder Woman, for example, but I still feel like the Major should have been a more muscular figure, not Scarlett Johansson. But like I said, I realize they need an A-lister to sell this film to, you know, your traditional, you know, mainstream audience. I know that's going to irk some anime fans, because probably some anime fans don't even want, you know, the mainstream involved, but that's just the way it is. On top of that, you know, there's so many. Look at all these other pictures I'm going to show you of the Major here in a second. You know, the Major's design is so fucking weird, from the manga to the 90s film to Ghost in the Shell Arise to Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. She changes a lot. Alright, she's kind of beefy and meaty in the show. She has purple fucking hair, some like topaz looking eyes, brown eyes, I guess, maybe. Her design's constantly changing, and that could also be attributed to the fact that, you know, she's an android, and her design can really be whatever suits the character. On top of that, look at Arise. She's a lot more slender in Arise, which I guess would fit Johansson, which I guess would please me. She's more slender in Arise, although by the time you get to Ghost in the Shell, the new movie, which is such a stupid title, I realize why they couldn't just call it Ghost in the Shell, because you know how confusing that would be to have just the original Ghost in the Shell called Ghost in the Shell, and then to have a new Ghost in the Shell movie that's basically a remake of the original Ghost in the Shell, but it's actually a sequel to Ghost in the Shell Arise that's still called Ghost in the Shell, that came out in 2015. Then 2 years later, in 2017, we have a live-action Hollywood adaptation of Ghost in the Shell. You see where I'm going with that. This is crazy. It's such a stupid name, but you see where I'm going with the design aspect. You know, the Major can look like Scarlett Johansson, and from the picture I saw, I'm going to show it again. Boom, right here. It is not a bad picture. She looks good, and on top of that, people are complaining because they feel like a Japanese actress should be playing her. I don't feel like this is whitewashing. This is not whitewashing, but I do feel like this is just them trying to make a good film, you know, doing what they think is actually best for the adaptation and the success of the adaptation. And when I say that, I don't mean it in the traditional sense of where they take a property like this and they Americanize it. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, like, they literally have what's best in mind for the IP for Ghost in the Shell. On top of that, you can't blame them for, you know, I mean, isn't Scarlett Johansson one of the highest billed actresses in Hollywood, like up there with like Jennifer Lawrence? You know, you can't blame them for wanting to get A-list talent to help promote the film, because A-listers promote movies. It's a great marketing method, okay? You gotta realize that. On top of that, here's another picture. This is from the original 1995 Ghost in the Shell film. The Major has blue eyes. Now, I know it's a common trope in anime in general so that they can make their characters look more distinctive, which is the reason why they look quote-unquote white and are a lot more colorful, even though Asian, you know, Japanese people in general usually tend to share the same sort of darker/white skin color along with, you know, browner eyes constantly. But how many Japanese people can you think of that have blue eyes? Probably not a lot. I'm guessing. So this is why I think this isn't whitewashing. They just have what's in best for the film. I know this rant has gone on for a long time, but I feel like the film is well cast in the sense that I don't know who any of these people are except for Scarlett Johansson, which I hope that will let it set in why they needed to have a name like Scarlett Johansson attached to this project. I mean, who out there has heard of Michael Pitt? He's in the cast. He plays let's see, who does he play again? He plays Kuze. Who's heard of Pilu Asbach or whatever? He plays Bato. Who's heard of Takeshi Kitano, who plays Daisuke Aramaki? Or Captain Aramaki, I think. Have you heard of them? Please be honest. Have you heard of them? Because their names not going to sell this film for people. Their names aren't... People aren't going to be like, oh man, I know that actor. I'm going to go watch that now. But no, people are going to be like, Scarlett Johansson? Oh man, I love Black Widow. Oh, I watch the Avengers all the fucking time. I've got to go see this movie. What is it? Ghost of the Shell? I think I heard of that. Isn't that weird fucking Chinese cartoon? Oh man, but it's got Scarlett Jo, man. I'm going to go check it out. Holy shit, that was fucking awesome. Oh, but it was kind of a ripoff of The Matrix now that I think about it. Oh my god, you fucking Japanese ripping off The Matrix. Okay, obviously I don't mean any of this shit. I'm just being an exaggerated, retarded fan, but retarded moviegoer, but still... I feel like they have what's best in mind for this film. I actually think the film's going to be good, even though these adaptations tend to be not so good. Sorry this rant went on for a long time. Sorry I was sporadic, and I'm recording a new part right now, so sorry the beginning of the video kind of cuts off a little bit, and you can't tell where I'm going with that. I basically just said I hate the internet sometimes, and I hate the people in it sometimes. Anyways... I'm not usually like this. I'm not usually this angry. I don't usually swear this much either. Sorry, I'm just kind of pissed at people right now. And this has been AnimeQuest, and I'll see you guys on the next Quest for Anime. And please, if you so dare, go ahead and like and subscribe, or get your fucking limbs chopped off and sent back to you in the mail! But anyways, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys on the next Quest for Anime.